when the volatility is coming back into the market and the price is going up and down, don't be confused, because there are things to be understood, not only in technicals but also in the fundamental side. What are the key differences which we can see before 2017 bull run and now in 2020? Because we actually have to understand what happened previously back in 2016, 2017 time, and what are the changes we can actually understand from the central bank's documents. And along with those documents, we can actually see these updates, and these actually suggest that this is going to be a huge success because central banks are getting ready for that. Because to contain current economic situation, they don't have more monetary tools to actually use, and they will have to adopt the technology which will be the silver bullet for them and implement that, because we saw some technology being repeated in payments reports, right? Some keywords, some terminologies, right? And most of them, even in payment reports, were using financial gap, financial inclusion, and this particular tweet from President Donald J. Trump kind of rhymes that. So next to know is soon means when, because he highlights the changes must be made and soon. Now we don't know what that actually means. Welcome to the scientific investor family. This bull run, we have players from the traditional market, and they are highlighting this 50% in less than a month. And now we can expect more of these type of investors coming in, because this kind of post where guys like having 50k 100k followers who will be majority of investors, or those who are retail investors or traditional investors from those side. So this can be considered as an advertisement for XRP itself, because previously he stated, I don't know much about the technology, but I think based on the technicals, the charts, he understands that it's actually going to go up a lot. Back in 2016, while conducting the payment studies, they considered many different things, many different aspects. Say they were actually looking at it from debit cards, credit cards, different forms of payment. They analyzed various types of payments. If we actually go through these, we can actually understand they were concentrating on credit cards, debit cards, the security issues, the processing, how this can be used to incentivize and come into a new technology area. They actually studied, surveyed all the different types of payment, but we couldn't actually find crypto as a payment or being considered as a payment itself. Whereas now in 2019 document from Sweden, we can actually see this. This is kind of, a lot of move, because they're actually looking at the technical innovation and the new players entering into the market. They actually talk about Google, Apple, Facebook, many different initiatives which are being there. And now when we are actually going into a cashless economy, they talk about how we are not using cash. Now whether we are using cash or not, they're sucking the cash out of the market, right? So when we actually discuss, say, even when we move into page number 17 here, we can actually see cryptocurrencies are not normal money. Now in this perspective, when they talk about this, you have to actually understand they are talking it in a two-side way. Say first generation cryptocurrencies and second generation cryptocurrencies, in which they consider the first generation cryptocurrencies does not work well as money. So they are giving you an example of Bitcoin. So many of the Bitcoin maxis, or those who invest hugely in that one, may have a different opinion, but this is directly from a central bank, right? And when they talk about efforts for smoother international payments, that now should be considered, one or two times. You can read through that. This is on page number 30. I'll zoom in because that should be focused. Now central bank is actually coming out and stating this. I'll slow down, and this should be understood properly. Innovative fintech companies have also launched new products. For example, Ripple has created a blockchain-based payment. Now, this is coming out just after they talk about Swift's GPI system. Because they are actually considering the speed, transparency, traceability for international payments, right? And in that particular arena, they are considering or highlighting the example of Ripple, the companies, and for what? Primarily for interbank payments. Now, when we read this, we get the next point at the bottom here. But while reaching there, other fintech companies offer services to companies and private individuals as well. So we have competition in this space, but they're offering it to fintech companies and private individuals. Now we understand that peer-to-peer payment, business-to-peer payment, all those types of things are coming out in this DLT-based arena. We can consider XDC, we can consider XLM, all different players are coming in. But the final thing here is something interesting. These services are often based on fintech company itself, combining and offsetting the incoming and outgoing payments. Again, often based on the fintech company itself, combining and offsetting incoming and outgoing payments, more or less like a clearing house. So it can act as a clearing house. And what does that mean in their own terms? It means that the number of payments that must ultimately be executed becomes fewer and for smaller amounts than original payments, which reduces cost. So when they say they are targeting smaller payments, low cost payments, the amount, when it is going down, the number will actually increase, and you're getting these here for international payments, the speed, transparency, traceability, and reduced cost, which becomes ultimate thing for any remittance user. The customer for remittance actually considers that. Then the problem of slow international payments has recently been pointed out by international organization. Now here the central banks are talking about that. Continue to attract attention in the future. It would be positive if the central banks could find a good solution to reduce the need to use less secure private alternatives. So that is why we are entering into a central bank digital currency era. Now the countries which are testing a CBDC, when you see Sweden is there first. So based on the report we just read, that kind of connects us there, like it is going to happen. This was back in 2019, and the recent news shows yes, this is happening now. The central bank digital currency, when they talk about that, we understand that the tokenization is happening anyway, because the initial digitization of the society is happening, has come far in Sweden and affects all sector, not least the payments market, right? It actually goes through every different markets. The penetration is so much. Now Michael actually sent me this one, and this really looks interesting, because when we actually go into that article, what you have to understand is it's not only Sweden central bank coming out for this one. Bahamas, France, Philippines, different countries are actually coming in to do that. Now, as I read in the bottom here, they actually highlight you the tweet for Bank of International Settlements, where they show emerging market economies report stronger motivation and higher likelihood to use a central bank digital currency. Now, when we look at the advanced countries, say take South Korea as an example, they actually told like we don't actually need CBDC as of now because our economy is advanced. Meaning, yeah, I agree, majority of the payment goes through cards, mobile payments, Kakao payments, blah blah blah, but they still use cash. It's kind of, say you have traditional markets where you buy groceries, fish, kind of those stuffs, vegetables, fresh farm foods are being sold by the farmers and all, and majority of them don't actually take cards, they deal in cash. And this type of thing is still happening. Let it be young guy, let it be young adult, old guy, they all go there and use cash. But considering the total economy, they may be just 2% or 3%. So advanced countries are not actually that much excited about this. Cryptocurrencies remain a niche means of payment. Now we just saw they talk about cryptocurrencies, and they just told directly that cryptocurrencies are not payment. So is it conflicting? No, it's not, because they were talking about the first generation cryptocurrencies in that manner, right? They gave you an example of first generation and second generation, in which they consider the second generation as stable coins, and from there to even the Libra. So from that stage, whichever alternative they can use to reduce the payments are being considered there. Now this is our next one, which is being from the Bloomberg, shows central banks on 4 continents will project a collective message of nervous unease. Now why we say we have to look at this? Because the tools for central banks to adjust the current economic situation, they use interest rate to control the inflation and the economy, to just create at least imaginary bulls. But now it's not actually happening, and they are in a worse situation. Whether you take it from one nation to another across the globe, you can see majority of the countries experiencing that punch. So now they actually need these kind of stuffs to come out. If they actually need that silver bullet, they actually need to adopt a digital currency. And this is, some of these banks are ready to go actually in, but many are not. considering China has already done that, and there is kind of ego between developed countries like US, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and China, then if you can consider that it's actually gonna come out, it's not gonna be delayed much. And when we actually told about these kind of investors, they do technical analysis perfectly, they are professionals in this one. And when these guys are saying we are gonna bag like this 1500%, that's not a huge, yeah, it is a huge profit, but considering what the actual asset XRP USD can do, in terms of USD XRP can do, that's not a big deal. We actually know that. So we'll have to actually look at the chart to see that. Now, when we zoom out in the chart, say at least we will use a daily chart for this one, we actually can understand there are two long-term reference line, resistance line, which we kept as reference and we were following that. Now in the last video we talked about we reaching an area around 0.265, nearing this resistance line to 7. If we had resistance, we would have actually pushed down. Now you went above that, we closed above that, that's the green shaped candle which you can see the bullishness. Now what is happening here, as of now the day is not closed, so we don't know how this candle is going to end up. But if you actually zoom in, go into a 4-hour chart just to understand what's happening, it doesn't actually look bad. Because if you're looking, the 20-day moving average is still acting as a support. The price is moving up, then coming back into the 20-day moving average and getting supported and going to the upside. Now, the RSI went so much high, say around 93, and now it's taking a breather, you can see, but it's coming out of the overbought area. So if the price gets corrected to somewhere around 0.25, that's not like a bearish thing which we are focusing on, because this kind of changes majority of the perspective which we were talking about. Because when we come back into a long range view and see this, we now don't have that kind of a huge resistance line. Now some actually were asking the questions in Twitter and in one of my videos comment section, like what can be acting as a resistance, will we go back to lower levels? So for that I would suggest keep an eye on this area now, that's 0.38. if you remember, these are areas which will be acting as overhead resistance from 0.26 to the upside. But now we actually reached around 0.32 and now being corrected. Keep an eye on this one. Why? Because that area was acting as a previous resistance, then support. Now a couple of times it has acted as a resistance. So when we reach around that area, if we are doing something like this, going through directly through that resistance level, then nothing is going to stop us. It's going to be a buy the dips kind of things for me. Now that is for example USD on a daily, and if you move back and look at it on a weekly chart, go in and check on a weekly chart and check at the RSI. We are nearing that overbought position. Now if you look at that from a long term back here, we were above that area only during that bull run. Now I'm repeating that we entered into that territory when we started that bullish symbol. And when that happened, we actually went above the moving averages, meaning the moving averages started acting as a support. Now back then, here, due to the chart, you don't actually see where the 200-day moving average is, but obviously it should be somewhere here. 200-day moving average should be above that, and currently we are seeing something similar. 200-day moving average is above, currently acting as a support. Our resistance, if we push above that 0.3334 area, it should be acting as a support. Now that's on a weekly, right? So when we now move into the long-term perspective, the monthly candle, look at the MACD, how well it is getting aligned. Now, yes, that took a long time to show you something like this. And if the monthly is actually reaching here, now I think to be precise, it's 51. Wow, above 50. Now it's not neutral, it's kind of leaning towards the bullish signal. And if we get zoom in the MACD, you can see if we are crossing and giving the next month here on a green volume to the upside and across, that would be like the gorgeous buy moment. But the price may actually reach around 0.35, 0.38, 0.4 area when you get that signal. So that's why those who come early are wise and they'll have to patiently wait. Now at least we actually getting some kind of a motivation from the price, because the price is going to the upside. It's showing you symptoms like, yeah, we are going to get that bull rally fever, right? But it's not like moving 20-50% a day. So to compare that, we'll just use Ethereum chart, and then we'll consider the altcoin market cap directly. Now, just using the moving averages, we'll go into daily chart first to see how it is reacting. Now, if you remember, we told previously we had a resistance line here which was extended till 362. Now if you look at the price, it is above that. So even if it is correcting towards 365, 362 area, you can actually consider, literally, technically speaking, if you are using the textbook kind of samples, this would be the support resistance zone. A little bit here, say take a little bit of standard deviation to the top and the bottom, and zoom in and look at this particular area. When you look at that, say we'll take a drawing tool and see, we actually broke above. So we are kind of consolidating, correcting or retesting or backtesting that area. And if we are getting that bounce, that's kind of the positive symbol which many would be actually waiting for. Because if you zoom out, this is on a daily, right? If you actually go into a weekly chart and look at the accumulation area for this particular asset, which is the ether, in the long-term chart, if you take a rectangle and try to plot the area where the price was consolidating for a long time before that bull market entry, that looks something similar to what happened previously. Now, previously when that happened, when the price went below the moving averages, it didn't actually took that much time. But we actually don't have the charts here for the price action here, but it seems that the price was below the moving average and was going above here. So similarly, we are getting something like this, and that's nothing bad. It looks like we are entering into that territory, because on the weekly we have already reached on a bullish area. Now, if you want to look at the time frame, you'll understand that Ethereum started the bull run previously, way before XRP, and similarly Bitcoin was also in a bull rally before XRP. XRP was kind of the last one to pump, but it pumped the highest. We showed you in the document in the last video, right? The higher level documents are showing you directly that XRP from Ripple had the spectacular growth in that particular year 2017. So if you're looking at the same here for the RSI, MACD, the volume is up, the lines are on the positive, and the RSI is on the overbought side around 80. And looking at the history, that's kind of clear for me that we are entering into a bull market. The price is actually surging above the moving average zone, and it has already breached the previous resistance area. Now, if you consider these as a resistance areas, yes, until 370, 400, we have that resistance from previous time. But considering this one and the support here, the area of 350 to 360, that area is kind of the key area. Now we are actually surpassing that area, getting a confirmation in the weekly. Now, when huge market players are entering, they would be mainly looking at maximum zoomed out view, which will be the monthly chart. And in this monthly chart, we can actually see that it is reaching in the positive area here, and the volume is already on the positive side. The candles are above the 20 and 50-day moving averages. 20-day moving average is pointing to the upside. So in coming 2 months, we may actually cross to the upside. When the price is fluctuating like this, we should be using technicals. Now, if you understand technical or not, you can actually follow technicals. Just use a 4-hour chart at least and look at the moving averages where it is being pointed. Now, if you can, always use exponential moving average and try to use an Heikin-Ashi candle. Say if you are following the price quickly for 1 hour, or now if you're trading, you can use 1 hour and all, but still you can actually get these confirmations. Like the momentum trading, you can actually use, just look at the number of candles, green, and then in red, green, red, green, red. So the momentum to the upside is more now. Now that's zoomed in view with a 1 hour chart. So if you really want to get the correct perspective and stay on the game, you should be looking at this. The momentum is too high here, considering what we were coming through from all this time till this area. If you had 5 green bars, then you were actually getting the volume to the downside and the momentum was to the bearish zone. Now at those areas, we were never exceeding the RSI to this much level. Now that's happening along with the momentum. Now momentum traders actually use this kind of signal to make profits. So guys, that's key values for today, and I hope you guys received value from this content. And if you received value, please do support the channel, hit that like button. If you are new here, I request you to hit that subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.